Committee at 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is for the committee to appoint a chair of the Corporate Services Committee.
I would definitely be interested in assuming that position a second
I
time.
nominate that.
Okay, can I get a mover? Seconder? So moved by Councillor Laura Ross, seconded by Councillor Gary Teeber. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee appoints Councillor Matthew Gardner as chair of the committee. Any questions, concerns? All in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Here you go.
So thank you, everybody. Second item on the agenda tonight is 1.2 to appoint a vice chair to the Corporate Services Committee. Would either Councillor Tebow or Councillor Ross have interest in being the vice chair of the committee?
I nominate Laura.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. You'll move that, obviously.
Yeah.
Councillor Teeber. And I will second that because I have. Can the chair second?
Yeah.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Teeber, seconded by Councillor Gardner. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee appoints Councillor Laura Ross as its vice chair of the committee. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. All right, item number 2 on the agenda, to announce electronic participants. Clerk, is there anybody participating electronically?
No, not this evening.
Okay, item number 3, the adoption of the agenda. 3.1, that the agenda dated January 6th, 2025 be adopted. Everybody's had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Teeber. Seconded by Councillor Ross. Moved by Councillor Teeber, seconded by Councillor Ross. Be it resolved that the agenda dated Monday, January 6th, 2025 be adopted. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, disclosures of a conflict of interest. If anybody has a conflict of interest they'd like to declare, do so now or at your earliest convenience. Item number 5 on the agenda, adoption of the minutes. 5.1, the regular meeting of January.
That's the last time we had.
January
Yeah,
20.
so January, I was second guessing, so, okay, sorry. So,
Been a while.
to adopt the minutes of the meeting of January 29th, 2024, so almost a year ago, if I could have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Teeber. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee adopt the minutes of the meeting of January 29th, 2024. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. We have no presentations and delegations tonight, and we have no notice of motion, sorry. So moving on to number 8, correspondence, 8.1, municipality of Wawa, support for the Ontario Building Code changes. Comments on that one?
Are they just asking for regular regular drawings for a particular build, and they want it to be universal? Is that what they're asking for?
I am going to let our building official speak to it, because I'm sure he's a little bit more familiar with maybe what they're asking, but from my understanding, yes, but if Wayne has anything to add, then I'll.
I'm not really familiar with what I think what they're trying to say is that they're standardized design for any small house, so that, you know, somebody that can't afford to build a normal sized house can use and into the building department, you know, so that we can process the plans quick and go through it quickly, they can get on with it. And I think they're mostly talking about small houses too, tiny houses.
Yeah, tiny houses, yeah.
Yeah, which will be gonna be coming in the future.
Yeah.
So what they're saying then is that the people would not need a signature on a building, on a drawing.
They, you know, they can just.
Take the standardized one and go
They
with it.
get that, then if you look at it in a standard set of plans, and away you go.
Good idea.
Yeah. I agree.
I see their number one in their motion, it states that they want to create a set of pre-approved housing designs.
Mhm.
So yes, there would be a signature on it, but they're pre-approved.
Yeah, and that would
Yeah.
be a
No
lot-
different than what we're doing with garages under the
and it'd
bylaw.
be a lot easier on the building departments too, because, you know, they're pre-approved already, so you would over and approve that. And those the building permit.
I think that's something we should present at council.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I definitely think that it is something that we should support and bring to council for their support, so. The standardized designs, I understand, are, if I understand correctly, we kind of went through this process like post World War II era, right, where they had some standardized designs that were quick and easy to build. I know that working in the industry, plans alone can cost thousands of dollars, just in plans, before you're even out of the ground, before a shovel hits the dirt, you're thousands of dollars into it, so it would be very cost effective, I think, to see those things happen. The flexible design standards, I know that that is a very touchy subject. The building code is very, this is how it has to be done, and there's no if, and, or buts about it. And sometimes we do run into things in the building world where practical on paper doesn't always mean practical in building. So you do run into issues, so that would be, having a little bit of flexibility there would be nice. And then obviously the support for diverse models in the small homes. I know that a lot of companies now are rolling out plans and packages for smaller size houses, 600 square feet and less. I think currently right now our official plan doesn't allow for that. I know that that's something that we're in the process of working on our official plan, so hopefully that comes up, but seeing the province support that, I think would be a very good thing. I know that it's definitely something you can do. I live with a family of 5 in a 40-foot RV trailer for 6 months out of the year in my campground, and we love it and think it's great. So I think if somebody would have that opportunity to have their own space at a much more affordable rate, then why not? So if you guys are okay with moving and seconding that, then. So. I don't have to move and second that. Sorry, that's just a. Sorry, so we're gonna bring that one. Sorry, back
Bring
to,
it to council.
Yeah.
Next regular meeting.
yes, so can it be brought to the next regular meeting, and I guess that would be next Monday? Okay, thank you. Nine one committee report, so this is our only report for tonight, so something that I submitted beforehand. It's something that's been talked about for a little while, and obviously not meeting since last January. It's kind of fell on the back burner for a while. On February 6th, 2023, council unanimously approved bylaw 2304, titled remuneration of members of council. When we adopted this bylaw, council members did receive a raise that was reflective to be around the median pay rate for council members in our region, but it did change the pay structure and how we were being paid from just being paid 100% for being a councillor to 50% based on pay, and then the other 50% based on your position. Since this time, at various points, council members, staff members, constituents have raised many concerns about this bylaw. Some concerns shared with the now chair again of the Corporate Services Committee were formed around ideas such as I heard a lot of talk about the guaranteed 50% pay portion of a councillor's salary. A lot of people expressed concern to me that it should be even more geared towards attendance. But also I heard the other from a few people that thought that it should be less towards attendance. So just a topic of conversation. The meeting priority, I know, was something that was brought up a few times by councillors that I was talking to. Right now we run into issues where if a member has like a board meeting that they're assigned to by council on the same night that a council meeting is called, a special meeting or something like that. Right now, there's nothing saying kind of what the priority is. And I think that maybe that should be reflected in there. Double dipping, so to speak, was a concern that was brought up quite a few times to me. And to our CAO, who I spoke to before this. Sometimes I've heard of instances where if a board pays, say, travel allowance, I don't think it's very clear in there that you can't receive a travel allowance from the board you're attending and then also from council or also from the town of Mattawa. And same with like a meeting allowance. If we're paying you a per diem to go to it, then I don't think you should be able to claim a meeting allowance from that board as well. So that was something that was brought up quite a few times. And then right now, I don't do the payroll, and I haven't really actually asked our payroll what they think of this system that we have now, but I can imagine it's a little bit more complex than it used to be. And maybe simplifying that would make life easier for staff to administer our policy. So basically just kind of bringing those unintentional gaps, I think, that were created during the last policy. We've been doing this for about 2 years with this current policy, a little less than 2 years. Just kind of bringing it back up here for talking points, and then I'd like to bring it to the council table for talking points. Hopefully ironing some of these issues out before we have to set the pay scale for the next term of council before nomination period in 2026. So if anybody has anything they'd like to.
Pretty simple. If it was me that was going to another meeting and travel allowance from our council was, I think it's 68 cents or something, and they were paying 70 cents. I mean, I would take the 70 cents rather than the 68. Like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you know, if the per diem rate for Mattawa to receive is $150 a day for a meeting, or half a meeting is $75, and they're only paid 40, and I mean, it's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. So I don't see what the problem is in that part. I did also hear about the 50% pay, and I heard it both ways. you know?
Mhm.
But now that we allow, I think it's 12 meetings a year,
Yeah.
so that's one a month. So, I think people are confusing that with, you know, with, a guy not being sitting here in the chair, but he's sitting there at home, or whatever the reason for him not being here, he's still attending the meeting. And I don't think they quite understand that logic neither, you know, so maybe it's educating the people too.
Fair enough. Counselor Ross, anything to add?
I think the 50% is fair. I don't see anything wrong with that. The meeting priority, I would think council meetings should always take priority over board meetings, no matter what. I don't know how we would know if somebody's double dipping. Like, I really don't know how we would find that out. If somebody, like, say, for instance, I'm going to a police service board meeting, like, they don't pay travel, but say they did, for instance, like, how on earth would you know if I've received that money? Like, I don't know how anybody would even know that, but I don't think that our counselors would be doing that, like double taking from one pot and if you've been paid to travel and you want to get paid to travel again, I don't think that makes any sense. I can't see counselors doing that, but one never knows. And I don't know what, I don't find the policy extremely difficult to administer. Like, it's set and we have 5 meetings. If you attend the 5 meetings, you get the extra. If you attend the 4 meetings, then it's calculated. Like, that's already, it's a basis calculation. So I'm quite fine with it the way it is, but.
Okay.
I don't really have a problem either with the way it is. I really don't. Unless, as a committee, we want to sit down and go over this as a committee before we present it to council. Do our due diligence with it, and then whatever we come up with, we present it to council and let them. And the only reason I say do it as a committee is because then we do our due diligence as a committee. And when we send it to council, council understands that it's a corporate services committee, not just one person, but the committee as a whole. We went through it, and this is the recommendation we make to council. I think that's how committees are supposed to work. We're supposed to do the work and present it to council, and it saves them some going through it too. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So if we do it as a committee, then council has to be comfortable with the fact that we've done our due diligence.
Mayor Belanger, anything to add?
I'm just gonna touch up on both the counselors said, Counselor T-Bear said, you know, if one's paying 70 and the other one's paying 68. It's not a matter of choice. What we're talking about here is when someone goes to a board meeting and they get paid from that board, and then they also claim to get paid from the town. It's not a matter of which one's the best. Like, to rectify what you're saying, let's say the reverse would happen, that the board you're on only pays 40 and we pay 68. I think you should be getting 40 from the board, and in your expense, you should get 28 cents from the town. So you get what we've agreed to. If the board you're on pays 70, good for you.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but I'm saying, you're saying you want to take the one that pays best. Well, let's say the same board pays a bit of a per diem, and your per diem's $75 and they pay 25, well, the town should pay the other 50, but not the full 75. That's called double dipping. You're getting it from both associations.
No, you don't receive the 25 from the other one, but
I
you.
said, if you would,
Oh, yeah,
if you would.
yeah,
Yeah,
So
No,
that's.
I hear you.
And to answer Councillor Ross' question, how do we know? They provide us with that information.
oh, okay, well, there we go.
At year end, they provide the administration with their attendance on the board. their,
Okay.
what
What they paid out to the men,
So,
okay.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, I think that there was a counselor that was concerned about that, wasn't there at one time? We were talking about that, And, I think he said, well, why shouldn't I be able to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just in my head, I'm thinking that happened here.
Mhm.
Well, that
So-
makes no sense.
So I have no problems with reaching the threshold that we've set
Mhm.
for council. If they get less, that we top up. They get more, we don't give it again.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Simple.
no, no,
And-
yeah,
I think that's why this is back up here now, because it's gotta be written in there somewhere. So administration doesn't have to upset anyone, you know, when they say no, and then well, show me where it is, you know, that we gotta make it friendly for administration also. That's my
Okay,
2 cents.
I get that.
Okay, and
yeah, I think that's,
I have a couple of small points, but, I am on the opposite preference of the 50% pay portion. I think it should all be, I think 100%. Based on attendance, I think we have, pretty good attendance for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that, we've made council meetings easier to attend, than they ever have been before, since we've taken office. So I don't see much benefit to the other 50% of the pay portion, like, say my deputy mayor's salary, for example, approximately $6,000 of that is based on just being that position. And I don't know that that's entirely fair. I think that it should be enticed by the work that you put in. So the more that you attend, the more work you put in, the more that you get, obviously up to that same maximum that we have now. But I really feel strongly, and I did back then, and I know that it's a democracy and we settled on 50%, but that's just my feelings. I'd like to see that pushed even higher to 100% and still paid out once a month, like our staff does now. But anyways, that's my feelings on that one. The medium priority, obviously, definitely. I think the council meetings at this table always has to come first. And I think maybe it needs to be spelled out somewhere in that, because I know we've ran into that a few times.
Mhm.
The double dipping, I think the concern there that I've heard is that if the board is paying $25 for travel and then we're paying 68 cents for travel, they're getting both sources, right? When I think like Mayor Belanger said that we should be subtracting what they're getting from the board, and every little bit helps the Mattawa taxpayer in that case, right? And then making the policy less complex, I think is just the pay structure, I think is right now, I don't know how difficult it is, but right now they have to do a bi-weekly pay and then they do the attendance pay, whereas if they did just one or just the other, then it'd probably be a little bit easier. So the question that I have for you guys is this something that you would want to work on at this table first, or do you think it's beneficial for us to bring the topic of conversation with some of the points that we've talked about tonight to the council meeting and get their thoughts on it before we edit, review, and change this policy? Or do you think that we should make the changes and the edits that we think and then bring that to council then?
I think that's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
I mean, if that's the way, if we want our committees to work properly, that's the way to go. That is definitely the way.
Okay, perfect. And I'm in support of that. And any counselor like Mayor Belanger is here tonight can attend and can contribute by having an opportunity to speak to any of the issues. Obviously, they don't have a vote at this level, but they can participate in the meeting that way. So they have that opportunity. So I'm good with that if you guys are good with that as well. So something to bring back at our next corporate services meeting. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to edit this.
So explain that to me again about 100%. What do you? So you're saying that 100% of the meetings is based on attendance rather than a payout of 50% and then.
And that's totally just my preference. That's not, I'm not saying that's what.
No,
we
I
have to
think
do.
it's a
I'm not
good,
saying-
no, I think it is good. I think that's the way to go. I really do. But what I'm saying is how is the pay structured in? How is it gonna be easier for staff?
Well, they would just have to do the one part of it. I mean, it's probably not drastically easier, because I'm sure that they just have our salary bumped into the system and every 2 weeks it forwards us the 50% that we earn. But they wouldn't have to have that portion of it anymore, right? It would be just the 1 monthly payment.
I think there's a lot to discuss on this. I really,
Can I add a comment
Yeah.
to that, if you don't mind? The other thing with, I get what you're doing, because I hear it out there too. There's some people upset with attendance. I think our attendance is not bad.
I think it's
no,
good.
I think it's
Uh,
good.
Lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Going to a full 100%, there are cases when a counselor cannot show up. And it's for a very good reason. I mean, we had Counselor Ross that went through an event last year and she had very good reason not to attend a few meetings. You know, that's dicey. If someone's sick in the hospital, they can't be here, you know, they can't have their computer going, you know. We have to be fair about it, but I like where you're going. You know, we put our name into the ring, we get elected, and they expect us to do a job. And part of the job is to be here when there's meetings. I understand that the very first year was hard. We had meetings over
Lot.
meetings. Things have settled down. We've got the train back on the rails, and I think it's going better. We just gotta be careful on that one, but it's something we can, you know, dice out and see where we want it to land.
I think I questioned that at a council meeting one time about what if somebody is, you know, sick or in the hospital or,
Yeah,
you know, they can't make it. There's just no possible way they can make it. I don't think it's fair to deduct their pay from
Yeah.
that because of that reason.
Yeah.
But that has to be, I don't think it has to be spelled out. But I
I
think
think it does.
Well, no, I'm not saying spelled out. I'm saying we can't say, okay, if you're in a
Yeah.
car
I see what
accident,
you
if you're in a, you know.
You
I
leave it
think
up, to who approves it, which is the CEO.
Yeah. Yep.
But,
Good,
as long as the intentions are there,
Yeah.
the right intentions,
Mhm.
you know, and you gotta use some common sense.
I personally, I don't support 100%. And the reason why is we eat 50% for the meetings, yes, but you're also doing work when you're not here. So you're doing work of a counselor, even though you're not sitting at the table. So that's why I think the 50% at the table is notable. And then the 50% of the work that you're doing elsewhere is also notable. So I am in favor of the 50. I do not like the 100. I think people are doing work even when they're not here.
Fair enough. All right, so I've edited this to, we haven't asked for a mover and a seconder yet, so I've edited this to the second paragraph. That and further that the committee direct I guess we can just receive the report. And that we ask that it be brought back on on the next corporate services agenda meeting.
but we should work on that in
Yeah.
between, right, as a committee. Yeah,
So how should we word that? And we have to be careful, because we can work on it to a limit of 3. Right, not 4 privately, right?
Sorry,
If, say, for example, we wanted to meet to work on this,
3 of you meet all together as a meeting.
3 of us,
Yes,
because the committee,
you
because
are
we're
the
exactly,
committee.
right? So
so
It has
we
to be
would have
done.
to have you there.
at our next corporate services meeting.
You would have to call a meeting in order to work on
Yeah.
it if the 3 of you want to work on it together.
Yeah.
If 2 of you want to work on it together, it's a meeting.
Yeah,
That's
exactly, because
four.
there's
It's
only
only
3.
has 3 now. So
So I would say next corporate services meeting.
Okay, but that puts us 2 months down the road before we get it into council. That's what I'm saying, maybe we could have another meeting before that so we can get it to council.
Mhm. And by saying the next corporate services meeting doesn't mean it has to be the next scheduled meeting. It can
Well,
be
we
the
can
next,
have a call, yeah, okay, good, yeah, that's great.
that works. Okay,
So just to be clear, in the meantime, you guys all work on it individually,
Mhm.
then you'll call a meeting and put your stuff
great
together.
thoughts,
Yeah.
yeah. And I would invite visiting members or counselors, if they would want to bring their concerns or anything at that time, then they can
But
attend that
we-
meeting and.
But we should do that at. When should we do that? At the council level or our
At the
level?
corporate services meeting, they can attend and.
No, I know they can attend.
All right. Can I get the train back?
Regardless, Councilor T-Bear, I think it's, it has to go back to council for approval.
No,
Yeah.
I understand that.
So,
Yeah.
just pick and win.
So if everybody's okay, or for it to say, be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee receives report R 1 25 corp titled Council Remuneration, and that it be brought back on the next Corporate Services Committee meeting agenda
For further discussion?
for the discussion.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I'm playing the deputy mayor right now. That's it to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you want me also to bring in my recommendations or wait at the
No.
council level?
No, I think if we can tie it up, I think if we can tie it up and tie up a lot of the
The
concerns
sooner the better.
beforehand.
Okay.
And then hopefully when we get to the council tables, we're not doing this again, and it can just be we're good to go.
Gotcha.
Could I, now I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. If we do that and we allow the other 5 counselors there, 3, 4, whatever it is, and we allow our staff and we allow, why are we doing that then? We're just supposed to bring the whole thing into a council meeting and let us just,
No, no, because we just like,
They don't decide, they just can
we're
say.
getting in it, like if I'm doing a poll and I'm getting an opinion, say I want to go out to the community, I'm saying, are you do you think that the remuneration we have now is fair? Would you like to see us change that policy? Or, so then I asked Councillor Mick or Councillor Levike or Councillor Bigelow, we're going to bring a report. What's your thoughts on this? There's nothing wrong with asking.
no,
And then we can have it laid out and say, we've researched, we've done some discussion, and this is what we're bringing. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking.
No, and that's kind of the intention that I think I had.
Just in the course of the year, I've had a few counselors approach me and find that they feel like they're left out of the decision-making process and all that at times. This is the perfect place not to let this happen. This is where, you know, this is our mandate, it's our group. We'll do the homework, like you call it, Councilor T-Bear, due diligence.
yeah,
Then we present it to council.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got the arguments and, you know, as long as you can answer the other 3, 4 with me counselors, because I don't have a say at this level, but at council I do. If you can answer all the questions and it all makes sense, you've done your work. You were implicated and, you know, it gives this standing committee a purpose.
Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder?
whatever one.
All right, I'm gonna go, moved by Councillor Rock, seconded by Councillor T-Bear. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee receives report R 1 25 corp, titled Council Remuneration, and that it be brought back at the next Corporate Services meeting for further discussion. Everybody good with that? Okay. All right, any comments, questions, concerns? None? All in favor? Carried.
And the meeting we called at the,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll figure out what works for everybody and we can call a meeting. And we have no in-camera sessions tonight. And last on the agenda, 13.1, adjournment of the meeting. If I can have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Counselor T-Bear, seconded by Counselor Ross, be it resolved that the January 6, 2025 meeting adjourn at 6:34 PM. All in favor? Carried.